researching her family tree on Ancestry, and she's made a little map marking where all her relatives might be buried. We were all headed to Scotland, a delayed honeymoon for Nathan and me, and the first trip abroad since her husband's death for Miss Gloria. Nathan had offered to take me anywhere I wanted to go. I chose Scotland because of Outlander and Shetland Natch, and because I wanted to meet his mysterious sister, whom I'd only recently learned about. When I'd broken the news to Miss Gloria, my fellow fanatic Outlander watcher, she'd said mournfully, Scotland was the next trip Frank and I were going to take. And then, poof, he was gone, dead of a heart attack and not traveling anywhere but to the morgue. I'm so happy for you, Hayley, she added. She really meant that, but she had a shimmer of tears in her eyes. Later that night, Nathan suggested that we should invite her along. I was shocked. It's our honeymoon, I reminded him. I would have loved to have her travel with us, but I was afraid my new husband would regret it once we were on the road. Traveling with an old lady might be a challenge. Not that anyone who knew her would describe Miss Gloria as old. Some days she showed more zip than me, and I was 50-something years younger. And if she did happen to droop, the tiniest catnap brought her roaring back to life. We're already spending most of the week with my sister, he said. Miss G would only be an improvement. On the phone, Nathan heaved a big sigh. Now the plot's gotten thicker. My mother's coming. I almost choked on the swallow of water I'd just taken. I'd gotten to know Nathan's mom right before New Year's. We'd survived a harrowing situation that left us filled with respect for one another. However, she was tall, formal, and super accomplished, and she still scared the pants off me. She's worried about my sister, too, Nathan continued. But she hasn't seen her in a couple of years, so she figured our visit would be an easy way to work herself into the mix. I assured her that you wouldn't mind. I could hear him taking a big breath. I'm sorry. We'll figure it out, I said briskly. I'm sure it will be fine. I've got to run. I've got scones in the oven, and only the barest bones of an article on the computer screen. I'd wheedled a week of vacation out of my bosses at Zest magazine, but then felt guilty about dropping the ball and offered to write a special section on Scottish food and music for the next issue. Hayley Snow, traveling correspondent. In addition to the article, I was committed to send by tomorrow a roundup of restaurateurs' opinions about the mall on Duval Street. I'd promised a couple of scone recipes. I've always been, and probably always will be, an overachiever, once I get my compass aimed at the right point. And my bosses weren't going to turn me down, even if it was my so-called honeymoon. The mall on Duval had been a brainstorm from our newish mayor. It involved closing several blocks of the busiest strip in Key West to car and truck traffic on weekend evenings, in order to increase foot traffic and attract locals as well as visitors. The jury was definitely out on whether it was a raging success or the worst mistake since the harbor dredging that opened the gates to the influx of giant cruise ships. I got up from my lounge chair on the teak deck and walked into our new houseboat, our home. Nathan and I had been living here 2 weeks, and I still had to pinch myself to believe it was real. Though we'd spent months poring over plans, and many more months waiting for workers and materials to show up, the outcome was, in a word, stunning, without a whiff of flashy. Our builder, Chris, had managed to secure Dade County pine lumber from a demolition project that now found a new life as my kitchen counters and drawers. He'd also managed to find Dave Combs, an amazing contractor and woodworker who helped to execute our dream to polished reality. At the deep end of the counter, he had built shelves where I lined up my pottery containers holding baking supplies. And above that, vertical slats for my prettiest plates, and a little higher,